everyone, it's me, Deborah. This video is for anyone in our adaptive program who might have been a part of the Independence in You group this March. This video might also interest other adults who are looking for a healthy recipe. Today I'm going to make a very easy vegetable soup. I have already washed my hands, but for the purposes of this video I'm going to utilize some hand sanitizer. I just want to be safe. Now we are going to go over ingredients. I picked up a vegetable soup mix. In here are potatoes, carrots, peas, okra, corn, green beans, lima beans, celery, and onion. You may not like some of those vegetables, and that's okay. Pick up what other frozen bags that you prefer. But if that's green beans and peas and corn, there's your soup. I'm only going to use half of this bag for this recipe because I will supplement the rest of the soup with fresh vegetables. We will talk about those in one moment. I'm going to add a tri-bean blend. For anyone who's a vegetarian, that's a really good way to supplement your diet. If you don't like beans, leave them out. I'm using a vegetable stock to, again, keep it a vegetarian soup, but you're welcome to use what other types of stock you like. Chicken or beef, whatever, it's okay. I found some parsley in my fridge, so I'll be adding some fresh parsley. You can use whatever spices you enjoy. I have an Italian seasoning mix and some spice, cayenne. Use what you like, leave out what you don't. Now I will talk about the rest of the vegetables. I have a potato, some baby corn, or carrots, excuse me, some onion, and a celery. Now we will talk about the types of tools in the kitchen that you will be using. You'll need a chopping board and knife to cut your fresh vegetables. You will need a strainer to drain the beans, a spoon to mix the soup, a measuring cup if you prefer to measure your stock. You may not need it at all. Depends on how much soup you will be making. We're going to make this soup on a stove top with a cooking pot. If you have a crock pot, we will get to that at the very end. You might have heard my cat, everyone. He meowed. His name is Moose. He says hello. Now you have all your ingredients and your tools all set. The kitchen can be an intimidating place, but it doesn't have to be. We're going to learn to cut some vegetables to add to our soup. Before we begin, I'd like everyone to just take a big breath. Maybe one more for good measure. And begin with some positive affirmations. I can cut vegetables. I can cut vegetables. I can nurture my own body. I can nurture my own body. I can make a meal to share with others. I can make a meal to share with others. And let's begin. We are going to be cutting our potatoes, our onion, carrot, and celery. I've already begun these, but I'm still going to show you how to cut some. Make sure you're holding your knife with a good grasp. Try to keep that finger off of here. It's very tempting. Professional chefs say no, no, no. So keeping it a good grasp. You take your potato and you want to make sure when you're holding a vegetable and you're cutting that you're keeping your fingers in. You don't want them out because ouch, that would not be a good thing. I shouldn't even pretend. So things can hit here versus cutting your fingers. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half so that I have two halves, and then we can begin cutting strips. They don't have to be too small because it's just a choppy soup, and then keeping them safe. I'm going to actually go ahead and put them here for preparation later. Same thing. Everyone has different styles of cutting a potato. You might figure something that works better for you. You might want to cut them smaller. That was a funny cut. See, they're a little bit smaller now. If too many of these at once is too much, take it out, do one by one. Moving them off of my knife. Taking them, putting them in the prep dish. Okay, now some carrots. These little guys, I also cut them in half. Usually it's a bigger carrot, but this is what I'm working with. If there's any bad spots, you can always cut the end off and put it to the side. Putting them together, keeping my fingers safe. And there's your carrots. Now the celery. This part's not so great. You might see discoloring. It'll be green, more green here, a little bit of white. You just discard that and move it to the side. These parts aren't awesome either, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get rid of it and work with the rest. For this guy, I always cut him in half. Make sure you're very steady with your hand. And then putting them to the side. Celery. Okay, now onion. Onion, you may choose to take off this part ahead of time. Sometimes you can cut right into it and peel this off later and get rid of the excess stuff that you don't want. For the purposes of this teaching video, I'm just going to go ahead and get it off. For the onion, I will cut off the end, this part I don't want, and discard. I'm going to go ahead and cut off this part too, because I don't want it either. And then we can cut it in half. And we're going to do some chops. As it gets smaller, you might have to shift how the onion is placed to keep your fingers safe. We're just dicing. They don't have to be too tiny. I'm going to rinse the beans, pouring them into the strainer. Give a little rinse of my can right over the beans. Using cold water. Give them a good rinse. Easy peasy. Now here we are with all of our supplies at the stove top. I'm going to go ahead and turn my front burner on, and I'm going to gonna turn it on to a 5.5. Everybody's stoves are different. Just don't turn it all the way high and don't turn it all the way low. In the middle range. I will begin by putting my stock in first. I'm measuring out as much as possible, ideally at least 2 cups. And I had mentioned you can add water to get more, especially if you are going to be cooking for a lot of people. And then you will just begin dumping all of the different veggies in. Potatoes, carrots, a little stir, celery, give a little stir, onion, give a little stir, beans, and half the soup mix. I will be adding more water to my stock, but there they all are. As you can see, I have more water in my soup. I just took this and filled it up halfway and added more. Just eyeball it. The more you need, just continue to add. And that should be a good amount of soup for at least 2 to 3 people. Maybe more. If you have leftovers, you can freeze it. I'm going to add a little cayenne. I'm just shaking just a little bit because I don't want it too spicy. Remember, you can use your own spices. My Italian seasoning blend, I'm just shaking it over so it covers the top. And stir it up. You're going to want to bring the soup to a boil. So you might need to turn it on to high. Once it does boil, you can cover it with a lid and put it on simmer. So wait about 1 to 2 hours and then you'll have a delicious soup. The trick is to make sure the vegetables are soft. Now, remember, you don't have to use the stovetop if you have a crock pot. For the crock pot, you want to select the amount of time that your soup will be on. This is a really great option if you need a longer time for it to cook, if you had to go for a walk, or you needed to do something with others. Put it on and let it be. It's safe to do so. So I put mine at 6 hours, and I used the same format. I just dumped everything in it. Stock, all the vegetables, my seasonings, and then I capped it and let it do its thing. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope your journey to independence continues to blossom. Happy healthy eating!